Right, so we're back, obviously, new location. Last week we missed a week, so I'm going to do a live update because it's just going to be easier that way. Don't often do these. I am going to ask for recommendations on the next episode. However, obviously there's been a lot of change, and I don't want to be one of these people that's like, obviously for me, mental health is everything. Like, I actually love mental health, like supporting the cause or putting my experiences out there, because I think if I can help one person, brilliant. But what I don't like about being people that are involved with mental health or whatever is like, oh, it's another amazing day, and because the reality is no one is ever up, and that doesn't mean that you're not a positive person. It just means that everyone has ups and downs, and that is part and parcel of being a human. So a couple of things that I'll go over is why I moved to Bali, which is where I am now. This is not just like a green screen or whatever. If you're watching on YouTube, obviously if you're listening to this, you're just listening, but still. And then I also took a week off social media, which I'll get into first of all, because obviously I use social media for my job and I love it. It gives me the lifestyle that I dreamed of, and I can't thank anyone enough. Even myself, like, I'm so proud of myself for pursuing it, because for me being on socials is quite an uncomfortable thing. I'm quite a private person, believe it or not, and no one ever believes me when I say this, but it's a sacrifice. My privacy is a sacrifice I'm willing to pay to have the lifestyle that I do. Because if I didn't do this for a job, I don't even think I'd have social media. And there was a time when I was in a really bad place mentally, and I took 3 months off of social media, and honestly, so good for my head. So I'd recommend that to anyone, to be honest, because the problem with social media is it's very unsocial. Like, when you're around your mates, you're not present because everyone's stuck in their phone. In relationships, you can see what you're missing out on so easily. That's if you're inclined to cheat, which I ain't really one of those people at all. But relationships, it's bad, and also you get the fear of missing out. Do you know what I mean? Like, if someone's on holiday, you don't look at, oh, they've missed 20 nights out to save up to go on holiday. You just think, fucking hell, I want to go on holiday. So for me, don't get me wrong, you can follow some great accounts, mine, which is amazing, but on the whole, I think social media is not a great place unless you are able to stay present in your life. Because for me, taking time away was because I was too invested in other people's lives. For example, I was looking at, obviously everyone knows I want to get back to Australia. I miss doing sunrises at Bondi or whatever, but I was watching people who I know do sunrise. I was watching their story on repeat because I was like, oh my god, I want that, I want that, I want that. And that just confirmed that I didn't have it, which then made me feel bad and like miss it more. So if I'm honest, like, since I got back from Europe, which is what, maybe 2-3 months ago now, my mental health has not been in a good place. And don't get me wrong, I've got the tools to use to make sure that I don't go into a bad place, but still where I like to be, positive, where I like my energy to be, where I like to focus and thrive, it's been well off. And I was spending too much time on socials, as I say, being invested in other people's lives, comparing myself to other people, and I just thought, do you know what, I'm just not going to be on there, fuck it, because why does it matter? And I know it's my job, but for me to take time, what's more important to me, work or my mental health? Like, my mental health will come over everything. So I took a week away. Obviously I had so much shit to sort with moving, and I think that was a huge contributing factor. Like, now already I've been in Bali for, what are we, Monday? 4 or 5 days. I can't tell you how much I feel so much better. And there's a few reasons why I'm going to say I was in a not a very bad place. That's not true. Well, I was in a bad place, or the worst place that I'd say I've been in since I probably got to Australia, so in 4 years or so. First reason, I was surrounded by people that I didn't want to be surrounded by, and I was doing nothing about it when I was choosing to stay in that situation. And something that I always say is like, it doesn't matter who you are or who someone is to you. Like, for example, if it's a family member, if someone makes you feel shit, yeah, ultimately you are a human, yeah. So it doesn't matter if that's your mum, your dad, your brother, your sister, your grandparents, your friends. It doesn't matter what title they have. If they make you feel shit, cut them out, yeah. Like, if any person in your life, and I listened to this Jordan Peterson thing, and he basically, I think I've mentioned it before, he was like, meditate on something. He was like, if you meditate on, what's the one thing I can remove from my life now that will make my life better? If you meditate on that for 5 minutes, I guarantee you, you're going to literally tell the people that you need to get rid of, the situations you need to get rid of, whatever. Like, it will come to you. Like, I've done it the other week, not the other week, like a couple of months ago, and I felt quite embarrassed by the answer that come to my head, but I knew it was the right thing to do. So big part of me feeling so negative was the people that I was spending, or not even spending a lot of time with, but just crossing paths with too regularly, and it just was very detrimental to my health. So that was one reason. Next reason, I weren't focused on the happiness where I was. Like, for 3.5 years, I couldn't go home. I couldn't see my mates that are back home. I couldn't see my mum, and I wasn't focusing on any of that. All I was looking at was, I'm not in Australia, I'm not in Australia, I'm not in Australia. I don't have my freedom or independence. So that was a big factor, big factor. As I say, I was comparing myself to people on Instagram, which is just stupid, because I'm sure there's people that would be like, oh, I'd love to be at home with my mum and dad or whatever, or my friends. So that was doing my head in. And one thing that I come to learn, and one of my really good mates, Rob, said to me, he said, at the minute, you're like a bird that's put a cage on itself, and you just got to go out and fly. And that's what made me book this trip to Bali. And it's true, like, something that's so important to me is like having freedom, having my independence. I don't actually need to be around people a lot. I like being alone. That doesn't mean I'm lonely, but I like being alone, because I think that when you're alone, you have the most amount of time to grow. Like, if I think to myself, anytime I've come out of a relationship, I like to spend a lot of time on my own, and that's when I've done the maddest shit in my life. Like, for example, going on Love Island, moving to Australia, setting up my own business, taking my business from doing okay to really excelling. Like, these are times when I think focusing on myself must be a priority. So I wanted to be alone, but I was choosing to stay in situations because of the people that are around me. And I was like, oh, they're relying on me to be there for them, or they're relying on me for this or that. So I was putting them before me. And I think that in life, to be at your 100% happiest, you do need to be selfish, and you need to be like, I don't really care who this is going to upset. If it makes me happy, I'm just going to do it. So what was it? Not Friday just gone, the Friday before, I said to one of my mates, I was like, look, if the visa doesn't come in the next week, next Friday, I'm going to book a flight to Bali one way, and I'm going to go there on my once. And then obviously the visa didn't come in, because my visa agent, I don't actually know if he knows what he's doing, but we are where we are. Do you know what I mean? Can't get stuck on that. That's another thing that's been bringing my mental health down, is the fact that I'm focusing on something that's completely out of my control and getting wound up by it. But now I'll talk about my switching mindset in a minute. So anyway, booked the flight, flew out here, left home on Tuesday, got here Wednesday night, and I always call it the first day flutters. Yeah, so when I got to Bali, almost cried. Straight away I was pointing out every single negative that I could about being here. Not around my mum anymore, not around my mates. It's mental over here. People don't speak the language or whatever. That's not their fault, that's my ignorance, do you know what I mean? I think it's mad that people can go away and just expect everyone to speak English, but we do, which is very ignorant of us, but still. So I was pointing out all of the negatives rather than focusing on what I'd gained. And the last so Wednesday, so from Thursday to today, oh my god, I've fallen in love with this place. Like, it's so chilled, I'm in my groove, I'm doing my work, I'm seeing new shit, like all of these things that are just very simple to have, and also they were so reachable when I was at home. And I think that that's something important that I want you to take away from this, is like, you're only one choice away from changing everything. But because I was putting so many things on top of, I thought I had to like completely change my life to get my mental health back to where I wanted it to be. Now I'm not saying, oh, book a flight to Bali and all your problems will be gone, no. But for me, when I meditated on it, when I'd go into it, what is the most important value in my life? And it is freedom. And I didn't feel I had any, or the amount that I'm used to when I was back home. So as soon as I've injected that back in my life, I feel like a new man. And I think that that is unbelievable. Like, out here, the way of life is just chilled. And I always said from a young, I think I was about 16, I was like, I just want to live like an athlete for a bit. And I know that sounds stupid, but at 9 AM I go jiu-jitsu. In a minute, what, at 2? It's 2 now actually. So at 3, I'm gonna go gym, and then at 5 I'm gonna do a bit of Muay Thai, go catch a sunset if the weather picks up. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just little basic things that bring me so much joy. And for me, I think a lot of people will sacrifice their happiness for short-term pleasure or comfort, and I was definitely doing that. Like the comfort of just chilling at my mum and dad's until the visa come in, the comfort of having my mates around the corner, the comfort of going Nando's or whatever, do you know what I mean? Like, it's just so easy. Whereas this is, I'm so far out of my comfort zone, but I love that. Like, it's made me, today I went to jiu-jitsu for the first time, and the whole time I'd been at home I never went jiu-jitsu because I was just listening to my inner bitch, and it was like, oh well, your victim mentality now, so oh, why can't I get this visa, this ain't come, blah 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 blah. But that seeps into the rest of your life, like, and that's why I say with one decision it can change everything. Because now I made the decision out of, and I faced fear to come out to Bali, and people would be like, what do you mean faced fear? Like, I'm not being funny, I'm out here on my own. I've met people, don't get me wrong, but it is scary. It's like very uncomfortable to think, fuck, right, okay, I'm just left to my own devices now. But that goes into everything. Oh, the wind's picking up. That goes into everything for me. Like, like going to jiu-jitsu, knowing that I'm probably going to get choked out by a load of new people in the gym. I literally got choked out twice today and armbarred. But I'm going to go back tomorrow because now my mentality is like, what can't I do? Just from facing the fear or doing what I knew I needed to do but I didn't want to do because I chose comfort. And that choosing comfort, or choosing something, someone always says, Jay Alderton is his name, he says, choosing easy things will give you a hard life, choose hard things and you'll have an easy life. So when you make hard decisions, yeah, you're going to make your life easier. Or when you make hard choices, you're going to make your life easier. But when you choose the easy path or just the easiest thing, you're going to make, long term, your life is going to be a lot harder, because it is going to be draining to your mental health, because you're like, oh yeah, well this is nice and easy, it's comfortable, it's what I know, but that's boring. That's fucking boring. So yeah, I mean, I would recommend to anyone, if you can come to Bali, do it, but it's been a whirlwind of a week, to to be honest, since I come off social media till now, and I can't tell you enough how the last 9-10 weeks, how my mental health has suffered, to the last 5 days, where it's just because I've chosen the difficult things, I feel more creative with work, I feel more confident, I feel less anxious, I feel more excited. All of these great feelings, which is like, oh, what am I going to do? Like, do you know what I mean? I can't put it into words. But that's what happens when you get out of your comfort zone, because it's very easy to stay there, and a lot of people do, and then that's how a lot of people stagnate, or they go through life just plodding along. Whereas humans are meant to grow, and when you don't, it's like if you spend a day sat in front of the telly watching Netflix, yeah, by the end of the day you're going to be really fidgety, you're going to be frustrated, you're going to be telling yourself you're lazy, whatever, and that's because you're not doing anything. But that's exactly the same as in life. Like, if you're stagnating and you're not growing, you're gonna feel very frustrated, irritable. So it's about choosing decisions that are like, this is fucking mad, but cool. So yeah, I'm here in Bali. I've booked 2 weeks in the accommodation that I'm in. I'm loving it at the minute, so I might stay here for 2 months, I don't know. But we're back, baby, and that is the most important thing. Now I need to scran up because I am absolutely starving. But apologies that I broke the run that we were on, because I was putting out a pod every week. But at the same time, as I say, mental health before everything, and I needed a break. So that's what I've done, and now we are where we are. So I'll catch you next week. Have a splendid week. And splendid, what a word, bloody hell. Have a great week, and yeah, get those recommendations in as well, so I can spit some bars next week on a topic that you want me to. But that is the life update. Romeo done.